Let God and the sky be our limit and eternity our measure. There is no height to which you cannot climb without the active intelligence of your own mind. Mind creates, and as much as we desire in nature, we can have through the creation of our own mind. And today, being scientifically the weaker race, you shall treat others only as they treat you. But in your homes and everywhere possible, you must teach the higher development of science to your children. And make sure that we have a race of scientists par excellence. For in religion and science lies our only hope to withstand the evil designs of modern materialism. Never forget your God. Remember that we live, work, and play for a binding racial hierarchy, whose only natural, spiritual, and political limits shall be God and Africa at home and abroad. With God's dearest blessings, I leave you for a while. One love. Brothers and sisters, Marcus, Mosiah, Harvey.
Of course, you know, it is a blessed and wonderful Iowa that we can now step in. And of course, with full joy and upfulness, we welcome you into the zone, into the tiger's nest. Again, is the shock of the Iowa. Glorify Rastafari in all doings and saying. Honorable Priest Isaac here with you. Give thanks for your presence with us. Again, the mystic vibrations, the shock of the hour. And of course, you know, you gotta, just tiger with me. This is how we do it, eh? This is just free expression, eh? Expression, as we say more time, not too much expression here, but this is just free vibration going out to the earth. This is how we do it. This is a part of the meditation. This is a part of the shock of the hour. This is the elevation. And I know we do it in some different ways. Yes, I know we do it in some different ways, but we are universal beings. We are cosmic beings and cosmic souls. We are in tune and in touch with our people. You cannot be a god and a goddess, as we use these terms, and not be in tune with your people. So I know we do it a bit differently on this side, but I mean, give thanks. That shows that we are unique on this side. sweet sounds and melodious, meditation, sweet melody. This evening we want to speak about the soul of water. I was going to say the soul of Zion because we really, within the Rastafari, water is referred to as Zion, at least in Antigua here. I don't really hear a lot of ones utilizing that term, I must say, now that I'm thinking about it. But we're going to be talking about the soul of water. We're going to spend a few moments on that. So yeah, I really hope that you are prepared to be with us on that one there. And we are going straight into this meditation. Should I prep you? Should I give you a preview before we go in? No, I'm just going to make you listen. Of course, I always think that it's appropriate that you know exactly where our information is coming from. Now, this is coming from the fifth kind, and it is not officially an audio, it is a video, but it's from the fifth kind, and so you could add to it. As you know, this is a radio program, so you get it in the audio form, but still the information is quite vivid, and of course that's why I am here, for us to take it to another level. So I'm not going to prep it, no, I'm just going to let us go straight in and continue to flow with the music.
This video is in association with Gaia.com. To watch the full documentary,
Our Earth is a giant container of water in which all forms of life arose, and every living thing is itself essentially a container of water. Depending on age, a human being is made up of 70 to 90% water. An adult drinks approximately 2.5 liters of water each day in order to sustain his normal life functions. Another 1.5 liters is absorbed through the skin during bathing or showering. Science has not yet been able to answer the question of why water is the only substance on the planet that can exist in three states: liquid, solid, and gaseous. Why does water have the highest surface tension of all liquids? Why is it the most powerful solvent on Earth? And how, in defiance of the Earth's gravity, is water able to rise through the trunks of gigantic trees against tens of atmospheres of pressure? In a seed, for example, it reaches 400 atmospheres at the moment of germination. That's why a plant shoot can break through asphalt with ease. The water, of course, remains water, but its structure, like a nervous system, reacts to any irritation.
The water molecule is a dipole. One end is charged more negatively and the other more positively. This is a well-known phenomenon. A molecule acting through its negatively charged end can attract another molecule by its positively charged end, and then another molecule. This is how the structure of water is formed. It is fluid and short-lived. Somehow, among the changing forms, one can see stable formations. These are called clusters. It is within these structures that water retains information it has captured. Any substance coming into contact with water leaves a trace in the water. Had our ancestors guessed this when they used silver vessels?
And before we go too far, just so that we keep at least abreast of where I'm going with this. So, as I said, we're speaking of the soul of water. This is just my title for it. It's not the title of the documentary. Again, as I said, this documentary, you could find it on The Fifth Kind. As you heard at the beginning, it's also in association with Gaia. But So it is scientifically now showing you the makeup of water, and exactly on a scientific level, not just like a spiritual level and a mystic level, but on a scientific level, exactly how water actually stores memory. Very serious.
That water retains information it has captured. It is within these structures that water retains information it has captured. From the changing forms, one can see stable formations. These are called clusters. It is within these structures that water retains information it has captured.
So within the clusters of the structure making up the water, it is within these structures specifically, the clusters, where the information is stored that water collects. So water really does collect information, or as some would say, water has memory.
Any substance coming into contact with water leaves a trace in the water. Had our ancestors guessed this when they used silver vessels to turn ordinary water into healing water?
My first awareness of the capacity of water to hold memory came through my work in community healing. Often in a community healing assignment, in the story there is trauma, warfare, conflict, tragedy, and the work that's required has to address pastoral and emotional needs, psychological and spiritual needs, and has to address issues that are political and governance related. One of my most vivid experiences in that field was going into a place where I knew work would be required on all those levels, but as I prepared to go in, through a sequence of synchronicities, I began to realize that there was another layer to this story, and it was being impressed upon me that there was something in the water, that the waters would need cleansing. So this assignment, to make bitter waters sweet, that phrase was impressed upon my mind, and I took it as a spiritual metaphor for the whole work of community healing, because all the familiar layers were there. Yes, there had been conflict. Yes, there had been tragedy. And yes, that whole area had been affected by military activity. So all that was there. But through a sequence of synchronicities, I began to realize that not only the human life had been affected in that area, but the water of the place itself, 3 water courses, had been impacted in some way by some kind of trauma. The imprint of that trauma was in the place, in the people, and in the water itself. I had no intellectual grid for this. This was completely new to me. Nothing in my academic training had prepared me for this. But I knew that in folk memory and in ancient world mythology, there are stories of water carrying memory or hosting a malevolent presence of some kind, or holding bad juju, where the water itself becomes a magnet for those things, and any fresh water that flows in comes to take on that same imprint. The imprint of that trauma was in the place, in the people, and in the water itself. I had no intellectual grid for this. This was completely new to me. Nothing in my academic training had prepared me for this. But I knew that in folk memory and in ancient world mythology, there are stories of water carrying memory or hosting a malevolent presence of some kind, or holding bad juju, where the water itself becomes a magnet for those things, and any fresh water that flows in comes to take on that same imprint.
In the 1960s, in a closed laboratory in Germany, something inexplicable occurred.
No. We want to listen to this properly.
A laboratory assistant dropped a vacuum-sealed ampule containing virulent poison into a vessel with distilled water. Trying to conceal her blunder, she just left it in the water. The ampule was discovered only 3 days later. Since it was sealed, it did not pose any special hazard, and the matter was closed.
So you get it. So the scientist had a sort of ampule. It's like a little vase there, a small little somewhat like a capsule, and she dropped it in a bigger container, one of those beaker kind of scientific containers filled with water. And this ampule, or this little container here, the smaller vacuum seal container, it was filled with some poisonous liquid. You get that? So that fell into the water, but this is in the lab. This is high-tech science going on here. So this is so tightly sealed that not even a touch of the poison should even come out of this ampule, or this vacuum sealed small capsule, which has in the poison, you follow me, which dropped into the jar or the vase, or I think they may call it a beaker, which was filled with fresh water. I'm sure you comprehend everything that we're saying here. Good. And she didn't want to say, man, oops, I made a mistake. And no, she didn't say anything. She just went home, and 3 days after they came back and took it out and said, well, man, nothing can seep through this, so the water must be okay. All right.
Later, the water was given to laboratory mice. And they died. Immediately, the water was thoroughly tested. Chemically, it proved to be impeccably clean.
Now, I'm taking those words seriously. The water was thoroughly tested. I don't know if they're just throwing words around, but the water was thoroughly, and why I'm stressing thoroughly tested and impeccably free from any sort of toxin, is because, let's just say, okay, the vacuum is sealed, but what is the process? I would assume the process should be impeccable too, but is there any chance that on the surface or outside of this vacuum sealed capsule that there is a chance that some unseen amount of this poison could have been on the outside? But then this science should be so thorough that if you thoroughly test this water and there's definitely no sign of anything whatsoever, then that means that the chemical in no form or fashion got into the water. This is the impression we're getting here, I'm sure, and I am sure that you follow that.
It meant that the water without direct contact with the poison somehow adopted its properties. In other words, it received negative information from the poison.
A fantastic hypothesis.
Before the fantastic hypothesis. So you get what's happening. So the chemical itself did not really touch the water, but just the vibes. You know what I mean? Just the energy. Just being in the room with him. Because remember, at the beginning, they were stressing that human beings, depending on their age, 70 to 80, whatever percent water, we know that we go through this. So you are water too, the vast majority of you. There's a high level of memory with you, just as it relates to your water alone. We don't go into the spirit and the Akashic records, and no chakra, no disrespect, and ancestors. All of that is nice, but don't forget yourself. The 70%, 80%, that alone has some magnificent vibes, powers, energies meditation that, as you could see here. So you have to be careful even on a physical level where you quote unquote hang around, you know, which capsule you lean on, which poison, no matter how it's vacuum sealed, you let enter into your space.
Negative information from the poison.
A fantastic hypothesis was put forward, a hypothesis that could explain water's unpredictable behavior. Water has memory. Experiments done in many countries around the world have shown that water receives and makes an imprint of any outside influence, remembering everything that occurs in the space that surrounds it.
It makes no difference where the water is located. If you transport water to outer space, it remains sensitive to what it encounters. NASA scientists discovered this when they released water in a low-gravity environment.
If pure water is hard to make, is hard to get, and it's kind of reactive, it's very polar liquid, and so it tends to dissolve things and grab things, and they become what we call surface active. If you take a drop of oil or something like that, it won't do that. Ethanol or alcohol won't do that, but water is a highly contaminable surface. You fill up a water balloon, there was some junk on the mandrel that they used to make the balloon in the first place. And that's on the inside of the balloon. That's instantly in the liquid. Now when you deploy that junk that's in the liquid then goes to the surface, and so it changes the surface properties somewhat.
Water drops oscillate in reaction to the burst balloon membrane. It takes 45 minutes for it to stabilize and form a perfect sphere. Further experiments at low gravity allowed astronauts to study a sphere of water 75 millimeters in diameter with an air bubble inside. When water droplets were injected into the bubble, they created collision dynamics in action. Most of the collisions were created in a rebound or elastic fashion, bouncing off each other and the wall. But on occasion, an internal bubble would oscillate, and the momentum would carry it across the interface in a mass transfer.
The structure of water means how its molecules are organized. We can see how water molecules join together into groups. Scientists came up with the idea that these clusters work as memory cells of a certain sort, in which water records the whole history of its relationship with the world, as if on magnetic tape.
If you consider a cluster as a group of specific molecules, then it can survive only a short amount of time. But if you consider it as a structure whereby molecules can leave and other molecules come in, the cluster can last effectively for a very long time.
The stability of the cluster structures confirmed the hypothesis that water is capable of recording and storing information.
It may be the single most malleable computer, which it's like a computer memory. It's the memory of information. We must know how it is arranged. It is like the alphabet. If I give you the alphabet, you don't know a word, you don't know a letter, you don't know a sentence. So the molecular structure is the alphabet of water. And you must make a sentence out of water, and you can change a sentence.
This leads us to the idea that information is either made up of water or exists in it. In the language of the Pemon Indian tribe in Venezuela, Roraima is translated as the mother of all waters. A group of Russian biophysicists set out for this destination in January 2005 to collect a unique sample of water, which scientists say has never been in direct contact with human beings. Such water exists in only one place on Earth, in Venezuela. According to one hypothesis, a continent called Gondwana existed in the southern hemisphere during the Paleozoic era. Powerful tectonic processes occurring in the Earth's crust 3.5 million years ago split it into several parts. As a result of these changes, some segments of the continent sank, while those resting on granite substrates remained at their previous level. Elevated plateaus were formed, which the Indians called tepuis, meaning pillars. Roraima is the largest of them.
It's a really remote place, very hard to get to. 3 days of travel through the savanna and then the jungles. Then you climb an 800-meter wall. It takes a certain amount of enthusiasm. Therefore, we can say that the water we have there is in a unique, virgin state.
There is always a large cloud over Roraima. As evening approaches, a light haze appears. When the moon comes out from behind the mountains, the mist begins to glow with an even blue light. And in that light, it is visible how fine droplets of moisture are hanging in the still air. The slightest breath of a breeze, and this watery dust forms into drops. This is the origin of the rain, which rushes down in countless waterfalls.
Of course, I'm sure one now can, pardon me, recall again now, since we're dealing with the whole memory of water and this whole science of how water reacts. You see, I must say that religion has a lot to do with this. Religion takes away the natural vibes of nature then. So a lot of things become wow. A lot of things become supernatural. There are things that are very natural that we call supernatural because we are lesser than natural. We are super artificial. So when we see things that are natural, we think that it's supernatural because we can't even nearly think of doing that. So this whole science of water is just a natural thing. The experiment that the Japanese author spoke about in his book, which I've seen ones who have carried out this experiment, and I could say for sure that it is real. So you could take you take a fresh, clean bottle of fresh, clean water, spring water, nice water, good water, and you test it first. You know when you freeze the water, right? And you test it under the microscope, you get the crystal formation that is very similar to what we call the snowflake. And they say that there's no snowflake that's alike. No two snowflake alike. That's some serious stuff, eh? Snowflake, eh? You can't see the snowflake with your eyes, eh? You see all the snows, even what you call maybe a drop of snow, whatever you refer to it as. I could imagine how many snowflakes are in that one drop of snow. Just a little, little thing, the little fuzzy thing that drops on your hand. Within that, snowflakes are like almost like the cells of the snow. And you tell me there is no snowflake at all that exists, that have ever existed from the time it's snowing on the planet. That's like another one. That's what they say. That's some serious stuff, eh? And if that is so, well, and you see the snowflake, for example, the snowflake is 6 sides. You don't have 7 side snowflakes. Basically, it's a somewhat 6 side or 6 dimensional, not dimensional really, but 6 pointed figure snowflake, obviously in different designs for sure, without a doubt. But just consider the amount of snowflakes just in a drop of snow alone. Plus, I mean, when you consider that, and then you think of all the winter wonderlands on this planet, that is nothing but snow and ice and places where it snows almost all year round, it seems like. And just any blizzard from the time that we have been recording history, and you're telling me that there are no two snowflakes alike. If you say so. But I'm saying now that that's the impression that you get when you look under the microscope, when you see the water under the microscope, I should say, fresh, clean water, drinkable water, Zion as we call it. But then now when you look at the contaminated water, the dirty water, the mucky water, you get a snowflake figure, yes, but it's distorted. Like when you're watching the movie and womp, 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 yeah, it's distorted, it's bent up, it's curved up, it looks ugly. Yeah. And that's the impression you get with the frozen water that is not nice under the microscope. Then now, when you take the fresh water and you put it in a jar, clean, nice snowflakes or flakes, and you write the word hate on the jar, and you take the dirty water, the unclean, the water that you wouldn't drink, and put that in the jar, and you write love on it, and you take both of these jars and bring them before children. And this is the experiment that has been done, and I'm sure many of you have read the book. And if not, I'm sure you've heard me speak about it. And you say love to this bottle, especially children, the one with all the funny crystals, and hate, even if you don't say it, just to see the word hate on the bottle, just like you see it on someone's shirt. And when you see it on someone's shirt, you could imagine that they're the bottle of water, because we're all bottles of water. Whether you have good crystal or bad crystals, we're all bottles of water. Do you know, after, I think it's about 3 months, according to the book. Yeah, I think it's about 3 months. After 3 months, they tested the water that came from the bottle that had on hate. I mean, you already know the results, I'm sure. And the crystals were like some hated crystals. And even the bottle now that had the sign love on the bottle, that was getting all the love, even though its water was not originally water that you would drink. But when you test the crystals, they were almost perfect, and in some cases perfect, perfectly formed. Geometrically, we're speaking of. That's what makes the crystal pretty. It's geometrically perfect in all design and form. And there's none like it in history, me I tell you. So that alone shows you how powerful water is as a magnet of frequency and of energy and of vibration. That is why when the little vial fell into the beaker of water, even though the poison did not seep out into the makeup, into the structure of the water, but just because it was in the vicinity, it left its frequency with the water to the point that it would kill those that consumed the water. Vibes is serious frequency. That's why it's not good to keep bad vibes around you. Do not encourage it, and don't be afraid to tell anybody, hey, look, I do not like bad vibes around me. Yeah. And it is for such reason. It's toxic. It's poisonous. Because again, you are a bottle of water. So if I was you, I would make sure the clothes that you wear has on love. It may not necessarily be the word love, and it could be the word love too. But you don't need to wear a shirt, sister, that I'm not as nice as I look. I mean, that's the energy. That's what the shirt now going. I'm not as nice as I look. That's the energy. And sometimes they're nicer than they look, but You don't know. Master Willie has taught them how to dress. Even for all of that, you don't think Master Willie understands them science there? Master Willie read the book, eh? I'm not as nice as I look. One more drink and we can go. I mean, yeah. So you see, you talk to people about these things, they think you're too dread. But you see, some of us, we're not well read. Because if you understood that you are a bottle of water with a sign on you, and hear this now, hear this. That is why sometimes you ask your children, you want a prayer to go to God, ask your children, say, hey, ask God for this for me. Yeah, teach them to pray. Ask them to ask God to bless you and be productive and all of that. The prayer might reach quicker than yours. Yeah. So that is to show your prayer is not just kneeling and bowing your head. Eh? It's life. It's life. Pray. You pray on the eagle, pray on the animal in the field. Eh? So just your whole actions throughout the day is a prayer. So you encounter little ones, children. They read your shirt or the sign on your bottle. And it's not your shirt. And it's not necessarily just words also to it. It's just the whole vibes and the message that you carry. Even if your crystals are not too, geometrically formed. But yet still you could put the sign love on your chest. Again, that doesn't just mean your clothes. You could start there and wear something that says something that makes, like, wow, yeah, I like that. You read that on the shirt, that's nice. Not I'm with stupid and the arrow point in it, them kind of, everything is that. So you become a joke. But at the same time, when you outside of the clothes, you carry that sign. When people see you, they can see love. Say, oh, love, look at love there. Or look at caring there. Look at understanding going down the road. They may not say that in their mind because they themselves need some love and some care and some understanding, but nature inside of them is connecting with you. The little children, they're the ones now that has the power. Eh? They have some serious power. So when they can call you out, when you stand out to children, eh? Yeah, you must give thanks. Don't make them stone you, eh? Because they do that too. But when you stand up, several times, children with their mother pass and mommy, look Jesus. Who? Where? He's not. Hey, come. He look like Jesus to you. Sometimes they smile and. I even got several times. Mommy look God. He looked like a God boy. Yeah, he looked like a God. That means he looks like God. He looked like a God. In fact, I got it in that twang too. Yeah, I've been in, places and people bow and gone down to the ground, man. In public, I don't even know these people here. Foreign country I talking in. Yeah. So I don't know. Survives, I guess. So, maybe I have love on my, that's my sign I carry, love. So one's feel a reason to give back some level of love, Sometimes they themselves need some love, but they're reading it. You see the fact that you read the word love, eh? Love, that's it, eh? Love. Read this, let me see, love. See, that's it, love. Done in print, love. Love. Read this, hate, blah, 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 hate, love. So carry love on your chest. And I will repeat again, it doesn't necessarily mean the word, your behavior, just your vibes, Your colors. You know, people see you, they see colors. They don't see the old gray looking ER, the donkey vibes. They see colors, some shining vibes, you know, and sparkles when they see you, and a whistle and a song. When they see you, they see a song. They have some people, right? When you see them, you actually see a song. They may not be playing the music, but just because of how they flow and the kind of pep in their step, you see a song. This is deep, man. The cool ones amongst us speak like that, you know. You see a song, you don't know that way, man. Sometimes they give a brethren something to eat or something to feast. You ask him, so how that one sound? Yeah, man, it sounds real terrible. Yeah. So that's how you do it, man. Cool like that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's up to you as the bottle of water, keeping in mind that water carries memory. Don't worry about how your crystals are now. Don't worry about it. Because you may be saying, oh, my crystals are good, and then you're not checking, you know, what you're carrying, where you're going, who you're around, and what you're carrying on your chest. Because keep in mind, the vial with the poison can drop in, although you're secure. The frequency can allow you to kill others. I wonder if you follow what I'm saying there. And all of that is in the little experiment that was done there. Oh, yeah. And, you know, I think I have to come in here now specifically because what you are listening to, this is really an excerpt from a shock of the hour that we did several months ago, the Soul of Water. Give thanks. Yeah, that was another wonderful. Yeah, see, so that's a few months ago, really. But I think I just had to come in. I hope the brother don't mind me interrupting him here with that whole reasoning on water, because it was a very, you know, sitting and listening to it. Sometimes, you know, you got to go in the audience and really and listen. You know, I may have presented the program, but I don't think I would have taken it in the way I took it in a moment ago. And that is some deep, deep stuff. The main essence, if I was to give in a capsule what he just said, or to bring the moral of the story to the forefront, then really what it is, we are the bottle of water, straight up. Because we are made up of water, 70, 80, I even hear people brandishing 90%. You know, and then some biologists will tell you, well, it really depends on your age as well. But we know we have a whole heap of water in us, just like the planet Earth. The makeup of the water is very similar to the makeup of the human being. And within that now, the experiment, the understanding of the water, the understanding of clean water actually becoming dirty when the energy is given to it because it's in a bottle that marks on hate. Clean water in a bottle that marks on hate is being turned into unclean water because that's the energy it is pulling. And then unclean water or imperfect water. And I don't think it means muddy water, dirty water as that, and even maybe that too, but at least water that you would not drink, you know, water that comes out of the tap, and at least depending on where you live and all of that, you may not want to drink that. It may not be as pure as the water from the spring. But even that, you know, with the distorted crystals, it is the crystals that is used as the example now. The crystals is what is used to show the movements of the purity of the water. So you put that in a bottle and put love on the bottle, and those impure crystals become pure and rigid and firm and geometrically perfect. And this is proven when you put them back under the microscope. So it's science, it's experiments, it's something that has been done, it's proven, it's well understood. I don't think I mentioned it in that program, but I have a brethren
Brother Darren, you know, who may be listening to this. And I don't know if he still has those jars in his car, but he has 2 jars, 2 Gerber bottle with but he doesn't, he is not the water experiment he did the experiment with the rice. And I think you got to put some level of water with the rice too. It's from the same the book, the Power of Water, by the Japanese author. He is the one that spoke of those experiments with the bottle of water and the love and the hate. And he also speaks about the rice. And the rice with the hate will turn moldy and dirty, and the rice with the love will stay clean. The brethren have the 2 bottles in his car. Well, the last time I think I hooked up with him, I think he was still moving with them things there. so I've seen it. You know, I know somebody that would have been carrying out that experiment, and it's a real thing. So what it's really showing you is that frequency, how we deal with each other. That is why, you know, give thanks to the order of the Bobo Shanti. See how we, you know, even if you're upset or whatever, you feel you're vexed and them kind of crap, because them is foolishness, eh? Them dead energy that people will be carrying and pretend they're vexed, talking, them stupidness there. You know what I mean? I mean, in real life, if you're not dealing with somebody that's not dealing with somebody, that's it. That's, you know why, Jano. But someone that you're dealing with, and then you switch on and switch off, them things need to be thrown in the rubbish. You know, them is Satanism. You know, you just deal with that person and say, yo, what you dealing with? You know what you do me? And just get the thing out the way. But you know, but you see, do give thanks with the order that we into. To my Lord, is pure blessing, you know, my Lord, blessing, my Lord. Oh, give thanks. And yes, man, you know, you don't interrupt people when they're talking. It's, hey, to my Lord, one moment, honorable, because it's just pure love, it's expression. Yes, my Lord, yes, Empress, honorable. Okay, God, it is pure love and joy. Give thanks. Well, we give thanks, you know, but if you listen to Bogota, it's just pure give thanks. Well, you know, we have to give thanks and give thanks, and it's pure give thanks, you know, so that is love. That you know, even if you don't want to say it, you're being so wired to talk like that. It is love and blessing and bowing and all kind of things. It's a part of the order. It's like rules. You understand? So what you do now is frequency. It's giving and taking. Remember, the battle have on love. And it is because of that, it encourages those that look upon it to give back love. And the children, again, them is the one that have most power, because they're more innocent and pure than the old fogies, you know, no disrespect to no one. So that is in a nutshell what the good brother was expressing there. And as I said, that is just a previous program that we did, the shock of the hour 7 months ago, the soul of water. That was just an excerpt from it. Hey, but remember, for sure, you could be a subscriber to the Shock of the Hour, definitely. Of course, you know, Priest-Isaac27 at gmail.com, and you receive our nightly broadcast. You get it straight in your email. It definitely will appear in your inbox. International radio program. Hey, do give thanks for the life giver and the keeper of life. And I didn't make him complete. I know you had a few announcements, I believe, at least according to that time. But of course, as we always say on the Shock of the Hour, if you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. And remember, it takes some realize the real lies that are amongst us. Give thanks, cutting and clearing. Selassie, Jah Rastafari.